doing a behind the scenes look at what it's like to try to start a life coaching business. Okay, so I started on this life coaching journey where I was like, I want to be a life coach. I can do this. I can help somebody. Try to be a life coach, find out the type of person I can choose who I want to work with, and I can figure out how I can help a small percentage of people out there. And if I need additional skills, I thought I'll just go acquire them. But for now, let's try this out. So I go and I finish an undergrad degree, and then I go do my life coaching certification. It takes about a year. And I started trying to get clients about halfway through my certification while I was like, learning what the heck I was doing. And I just ran around to my friends, which I think most people probably do. They run around to your friends and family and they're like, hey, let me coach you for free. Let me see what's going on. Let me learn what's up. And maybe I'll give you something of value in the process. So I did that. A couple friends, 4 or 5, were like, okay, cool. And then most of them were like, get away from me, which is interesting because it's free. But hey, whatever. I'm just trying to learn. So out of those, I think 2 of them were like, oh, let's continue. And then they paid me a small amount, not a lot, like I think $200 a month. And I was like, sweet, that's cool. It's a starting point. I feel like that's a good win, right? Okay. And then I'm continuing. So I usually have about like one client. Sometimes I would have two as I'm finishing my certification. I'm like, cool, I haven't even finished yet. I'm trucking along. And then I graduate, I get my certification, let's say, and I'm like, well, how do I get any clients? I have no idea, because I decided to go the route where I'm going to open my own coaching business, which I did. But I'm like, how do you run it? And so then I'm running into this big hurdle of, wait a minute, I have to run a business. I have to figure out how to grow, sustain, and run a business. And it's a lot. We're starting to see a little speckle of light in the distance, way in the distance. But anyways, I don't know what I'm doing when I graduate. When I get my certificate for coaching, I'm like, cool, okay. I can't get any clients. What do I do? I run around telling all my friends, you know, so what do I do? So I hire a business coach and he's like, cool, run around and really tell all your friends. So I kind of tell them again. And then that's not really enough. And so then I'm like, okay, how do I expand my audience? So that becomes the work. That is the work I'm finding currently where I'm at. How do I just continuously get in front of new audiences? And that's like primarily what most of my time is spent doing. I found I probably coach about 4 to 5 hours a week on average. It's supposed to be 4. Sometimes it goes up to 5, but I don't coach a lot. Relatively speaking, I mostly am trying to find out where I can go speak to somebody about something that might help them out. And I was in the service industry. I'm still in the service industry for about another 5 weeks, and then I quit my job because I'm like, screw it, we're going life coaching. But I'm still in the service industry, so I know that arena. So I kind of like set up some talks. Like I go to the restaurant and speak to your staff, about how to feel less stress at work and stuff like that. And okay, that's cool. They allow me to do that. I'm still trying to figure out the overlap between what I offer and you know how that's going to help anybody in that from that demographic. But we're doing it. I don't know what comes of it. That's one thing that I had to release was my idea that this is where I'm going and this is how I'm doing it, because I don't exactly know. All I know is I got to move forward and I've got to add value. And as long as I'm helping people in a way that aligns with my core values, I'm open to it. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I am a life coach and I work one-on-one. Maybe I end up, speaking at restaurants and get hired to like as a consultant to help people, with their guest interactions or training their staff. I don't know what it looks like, but I'm like, just got to go forward, right? So, anyways, trying to set all those things up, and yeah, on the way, it's just a long journey because I'm starting from a place where I don't charge a lot. Right now, I charge about $300 a month per client to work with me one-on-one, and I've got 4 clients. So, from where I'm leaving now, my job, I don't make a ton of money, but I make a low 6-figure income. So, I'm making about on average probably about 9,000 a month. If I was to average the whole year out, right, I would take home about 9,000 a month. And so now I'm making 1,200. And so I'm just living off of that and being like, okay, here's where we go, and it goes up and down too. One day I've noticed you'll have, 4 clients, and then one day you'll be down to 2, and then 1, and maybe even 0. I mean, it's reasonable, right? But it fluctuates. So the job really is, for me, I feel, to get in front of as many new people as possible, and then refine my message, refine how I deliver my message, how I'm helping. And it's freaking scary and crazy, but this is what I've chosen to do. So we're just going with it. So one of the things that I have been struggling with, right, since I almost started trying to find clients, is like, people are like, well, what do you do? And that's like, that's the big hurdle. Everybody's like, I don't know. I don't really know. I talk to you and that's it. So that's a super interesting journey trying to figure that out. I mean, I see on like YouTube and social media, there are people, coaches who coach coaches. They're like everywhere, because the problem for coaches is so widespread and so big. It's a huge hurdle. And people like me, coaches, will pay money. So we're like, here, yeah, help me with this, So everybody's like, how do you do it? And so there's tons of content out there that just talks straight up about that, like find your niche, niche down. There's, you have a message, nobody else is quite like you, and you hear all this stuff, and you're like, okay, I get it, you know what I mean? I get it. But then you gotta find that line between, where you're being sold and where there's truth, and it's an interesting balance, although belief is super powerful. So probably if I believe that, hey, it's all good, I can just commit, I can take what this person says and I can make it work, like probably that would work, honestly. But anyways, that's what I found constantly. People are like, what do you do? And I'm getting better at it, but I still wouldn't say I'm like good at it. People are like, what do you do? And it's an interesting thing, because it's this whole other aspect of trying to run the business, that you don't think about when you start. But it takes up the brunt of my time, and definitely my mental energy. In addition to like that, the whole business journey of it and everything, the emotions that I've dealt with, is it's like this constant roller coaster, that you have to learn how to manage and deal with. You feel up, like you get a client and you're like, oh, optimism. Okay, I feel this is possible. And you lose a client and it's the opposite, and you're down. You set a consult up with somebody, oh, potential client, and then they don't show up, or they cancel, or they just don't even show up, and you're like, I suck. And like, it's rough, because logically, well, I know logically that it's not a reflection on me, but it's hard not to take that stuff and internalize it and be like, oh man, what's wrong with me? Or what am I doing wrong? So, personally, I try to just reframe it, but it's a constant battle. You have to be vigilant in your mind. It's a constant battle of, okay, what am I learning right now? And what is the next step? What am I learning? What have I learned? And what is the next step? That's constantly it, and all I can do is focus on the next step. Because I've noticed personally that when I focus on, like, the overarching goal, or, the mountaintop that's far away, like, well, I want to get here, and if I'm going to get there, I'm going to need this. Then the overwhelm sets in, the doubt, all that stuff. And it's just way too much. This is already hard. So that seems to make it much harder. So mostly I set the goal, and then I just try to like get rid of it and be like, okay, now that's kind of what I planned for. And that's what I hope for. Not even planned for. That's what I hope for. And now I'm going to forget about it and pretend it doesn't even exist, and then make the map that goes and gets me there, and then break that down into the smallest of pieces, like the smallest. We're talking small, like post on Facebook today. Like, it's tiny, you know what I mean? And I check off those boxes on a day-to-day basis. Like, okay, let me just do like the main things today, boom, and just bang them out. Because if not, I just get overwhelmed thinking about all the stuff. This isn't working. It's been 3 months. I haven't got a client. It's super tough. I don't know what I'm doing. And that stuff just is not helpful at all for me. So So yeah, that's a big part of the journey, the emotional roller coaster. And I hear from everybody that's entrepreneurship is like that. In all fields, not just coaching. It's like you have to learn how to ride the waves, and you got to take the learning and move forward. Get knocked on your butt, get back up over and over and over again. So I guess I'm getting better at getting back up, because now it's like I can start to feel it still hurts me a bit, a little, rejection and letdowns, but it's less like it's more like there's a reframe or in my mind that goes, okay, what did I just learn there? And then I just take it from there. But yeah, it's super tough, the emotional roller coaster. But I also decided to quit my bartending job. I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not here to be afraid of life. I mean, it's life. Like, whatever. Who cares? Let's just go. You know what I mean? Let's just do what we want to do. So I made that decision. So I have about a month left at my job. And then I'm just, tossing myself off the cliff and be like, we're just going to have to figure it out from there, and I expect it to be hard at times, but I expect it to be gratifying. So right now I was very scared at first when I made that decision like 2 months ago. Now I'm more excited than scared for that time, for a month from now when I quit my job. I actually also decided, on a side note, to go to Thailand for like 9 weeks, because I was like, wait a minute, I can hold my sessions over the computer. Why don't I live my life, go to Thailand, check out some stuff, enjoy and live life. You know what I mean? I just kind of want to slow down, but I can still take my computer out there and not go to a total stop. I can still work a little bit and then slow down and experience a different culture. So I'm pretty excited about that. To sum up where I'm at, I'm making about not even, what am I making? 4, 3. I make $1,000 a month in my coaching business. I mean, that's my income. I don't make it really. That's my net. And I spend about 1,000 on the coaches that I pay, which means that I don't have a lot of extra money to be playing around with. So I'm decently prepared for me to spend a lot of money every month. I'm going to have to live, cheaper than I have lived in the past, although I don't know, I'm not too fancy. So it should be all right. But yeah, that's coming up. And yeah, I'll keep you guys posted on how it goes and how life goes. I'll definitely check back in when I go to Thailand. That's in a few months though. So I'm sure there will be 1 or 2 more of these catch up episodes before that actually happens. But if you're interested in any aspect of this, let me know too, if I forgot to share it. I just want to give you the general feeling I have. There's another general feeling that I've noticed, is that when I'm transitioning from who I was before to who I am becoming, I've noticed that I feel lonely. I don't have that many people to talk to about what really matters to me, because all the people that are in my circle, I love them all dearly, but the vast majority of, not all of them, but the vast majority are in a different mental space. So, all of a sudden we're resonating at different frequencies. And so when they talk, I'm kind of like, okay, cool, in the grind, And when I talk, I can tell that they're kind of like, awesome, good job, buddy. But then there's no connection. There's not as much of a connection, So I feel lonely a lot. So I'm like, oof, that's an interesting aspect that I didn't really consider. I always thought I would bring the people with me, but I'm totally learning that you can't bring anybody with you. They can only come of their own volition. So that's pretty interesting, and I think the solution for me is to, one, become, one with myself, accept where I am, where I'm going, who I am, and then also be open and active in searching for the people that resonate at my current frequency now. And it's not about leaving people behind. It's just about moving myself forward and keeping an open mind. And that's something I didn't consider before. But overall, though, it's an exciting journey. It's scary at times, overwhelming at times. It's crazy. It's just an emotional roller coaster. So a lot of the game is really just working with your emotions. Like, one hand, you just find out what action steps you can take, and then you just do them. Even if you're like, no, I don't want to do that, you just make yourself do it. Like you see a girl and you don't want to talk to her because she's so hot, but you just go talk to her because you're like, well, I'm just going to talk to her. I don't care what happens. It's similar to that. You just put it down and you go, I'm going to go ask this gym owner if I can talk at his gym and hold a mindset workshop. And the gym owner's like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, buddy. And you're like, okay, cool. And then you just go on to the next one, So you just got to learn that. And that's not that bad. But then the emotional roller coaster that goes along with all of the asking and trying new things, there would be times where you stop, the times where you're just on a roll and you're just going and you're like getting stuff done. You're checking boxes off, oh man, I got a website. Oh man, I got an email list. Oh, and you get these cool little things. Oh, I got a client, all these wins. And you're like, sweet, I'm awesome. But then there will be large amounts of times where you're like, is anything happening? Is this really feasible? For my life, like this is pretty serious. I'm 44. I'm quitting my job. You know what I mean? Like at some point, you can't just keep going back. You have to just move forward. So it really does feel like jumping off a cliff. You just go. That's where we're at. So let me know what you think, or if you have any other things that you want to know about the inside of this journey. This is just the first one. It's like an intro to what I'm going to be doing. I plan to release one of these every 6 to 8 weeks, honestly, and I'll probably try to make them a little snazzier as we go along. Like when I'm in Thailand, I feel like I have to take advantage of some of the scenery and the culture out there and share that with you guys. But for now, I just want to share with you what's going on for me. Like, comment, and subscribe, and come along with me. In the meantime, I'll see you guys.